When I was born, soon after that, I was adopted. And as I was the only child, I was really bored. I didn't have too many friends when I was really young, and so I just got into drawing things. That was kind of like my outlet. And then as I grew older, I got into fashion design and loved drawing that. I first discovered that I was creative in high school. I loved fashion design classes. Before high school was over, I applied to go to VCU because I thought I wanted to go into fashion design. And somewhere in those couple of years, I just lost the passion that I had for it. But I got to the point where I really wanted to do have a side hustle. And I asked to borrow money and bought a camera. When I first got my camera, I thought I wanted to be a newborn photographer. And it only took like a month, and I was just like, I can't do this. But I still knew I loved photography. And then I shot my brother's wedding. Once I did that first wedding, that was it. I knew that was what I wanted to do. And I kind of took off from there. As soon as I quit my job, people were like, oh, you're serious? Like, you really think you can do this? And I'm just like, yeah, I do. And I'm just gonna keep showing you how this can happen. I was so determined that it didn't matter what was happening, how disorganized my business was at the time. And I made it out, and I never looked back again. When I realized that I had to go as hard as I possibly could, that's when I started looking for a community. That's when I came across Tuesdays Together and finally got my mess of an organization together. And then I learned all of the different platforms and different systems and workflows and things that I could implement in my business so that I would be more efficient and streamlined as opposed to the mess that I was at the time. That's when I learned about Showit and the fact that I would literally be able to move whatever I wanted to move, wherever I wanted to move it, make it whatever color, put all my fonts, all the different things that I thought were impossible. And my mind was blown when I found it. Once I moved my platform over to Showit and really was able to design exactly what I wanted, that's when I was really able to do what I had been trying to do, which was show everybody that I could make it. It didn't matter how many weddings I was doing and how often I was posting, but once my website was at the next level, they're like, oh, she's really, really doing this. She's a real photographer now. Do you see her website? It's absolutely beautiful. She's serious. So it helped me do all of the things. It helped me impress my clients and also prove everybody who was a naysayer wrong. Once my website was up to date, all the back-end processes were already set, that's when I started focusing on making the client experience better. By elevating my client experiences, I got to the point where I was incredibly booked. And so I actually decided to create an associate team. And I sat around thinking okay, well, what am I gonna call it? And that was when my oldest daughter came to me and was just like, I wanna be a photographer. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna name it Layla Chanel Studios. When I started my associate team, I didn't start it like most people do. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna create a team where I'm going to pour into you. I'm going to educate you the best that I possibly can. And they have flourished to the point where now I have 12 girls still on my team going to shoot weddings for me. Once I started really getting into photography and once I had upped my game with my new website and all the processes and all the things, I then just made a new goal that I was going to impact as many photographers as I could, especially female photographers, and being able to really pour into them so that I could be who I would have wanted to mentor me at the time. I have at least 2 Layla Chanel workshops a year where I can go over different posing techniques that I come up with and just little tips and tricks that I pick up that I realize that they kind of come naturally to me, little tiny things. I want to keep just answering any of their questions and pouring into them because I genuinely would love when they get to the point where they're like, hey, my business is taking off because what you have poured into me. I've done that and I'm just gonna keep going. I know I can, and I have the confidence in me. So my purpose is to pour confidence into others as well. When I first became a photographer and I was looking for a mentor, I couldn't find anyone who looked like me. I wish I had that opportunity when I was starting. That's really one of the main reasons why I wanted to get into education when I got to the point where I could be educating anyone. If I look back at where I was when I first picked up my camera, I would have never imagined I'd be here. So now that I'm to that point and doing those things, it's also given me a lot of joy to watch my daughter look at me and say, okay, well, I can as a Black woman, be a photographer. But I also try to instill in her that she can also be anything. It just fills my heart with just the most joy to see her see me doing what I said I was going to do, exactly how I said I was going to do.